Take a look at this. Footage has come out of Katy Perry recently, this one from a few weeks ago, and then more that came out today, showing her acting in a very soulless manner as she dances around, very unakin to her personality. And I'm telling you right now, that person does not have a soul. There is no soul that is still in the body of Katy Perry. I believe that firmly. And that is as a result of the insane amount of drugs they have put her on since she was a child. Katy Perry has been ruthlessly and systematically deprived of her personality. And as we continue to look at clips like this coming out, where you see her acting in that manner, as we continue to look at clips like this, where Katy Perry undeniably is without a soul, you have to wonder how many celebrities they're doing this to. Justin Bieber in a similar boat. You can watch the clip right there. And I don't think it's possible to come back from that. I think once your brain has changed enough from a certain amount of drugs, you are no longer yourself. You are no longer capable of even thinking and doing things by your own free will. She is now a slave to her masters. That's the truth. It's sad, it's disturbing. But in the world we live in right now, this is happening at such an overwhelming scale. And they choose the celebrities on purpose based on this. You can see her there walking around the stage. And so this is an AI of her eating dirt, by the way. That's not real. But it's representative of the state that she's currently in. If you look at her interview clips, if you look at the way she acts, when it comes to every single aspect of this, Katy Perry is not herself anymore, period. There's no way around it. There's no way to deny it. And so I wanted to start off the show with that, because I think it's important that we get a grasp on what's happening with reality. But there's a lot of stuff to talk about today. It has been a huge news day. So many crazy things happening. Trump is going to open up Alcatraz, potentially. Is he just being a dummy? Or is there some real stuff here? We're going to talk about that. We also have huge updates when it comes to politicians that have now decided to come out and publicly say that white men need to be surveilled on a large scale and prevented from being able to have freedom in the United States, a country that was founded by white Christian males. Well, apparently, we're not allowed to have that anymore. I'll see you at the end of the... Go ahead and play the intro, and I'll see you at the end of that.
Take two. Cut.
Take two!
I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Right, follow me with this.
But they've been using their power to obstruct and stop justice from taking place.
You want to pray us out?
I do.
We'll pray for Tina. And let's have conversations about what truth is.
So Joe was in a meeting at the start of this. He just came, and now you know the meme where he's at the bar, he's like, let me in. I'm like, Joe, no. You're not allowed to come in, Joe. This is my show now. I've taken it over. No, I'm just kidding. Joe's welcome to come in. And by the way, I stole a seat as well. So I'm now sitting in Joe's seat. I stole a seat. I stole the show. And then he literally comes 1 minute after we start, which is hilarious. So I was wondering if he's going to have to, if it's going to be a long meeting. So he's about to come in right now. We could go to break, or he could just walk in. Either way, we want to do that. But I want to get straight into this, because I think it's super important to look at the way the Trump administration is acting, because it seems like they are deflecting. Right now, they are not purposefully deporting a bunch of illegals. They're trying to play it safe. They want to not offend people when it comes to that. But at the same time, they have a very genius strategy when it comes to marketing their plans. Alcatraz, it's not going to happen. They're not going to renovate Alcatraz. It would be a beautiful prison. Prisoners would rather be there than at the Supermax facilities where they're being kept now. But at the same time, here's a clip from the Trump administration. Here's a clip from someone who went on Fox News and decided to say, hey, here's what I think about this and why I think it could potentially be a good idea. It's very fake, but go ahead and watch this and you can see what I mean.
Can we ask you, Tricia, how many illegal migrants are in Guantanamo Bay right now?
There's a couple of hundred. We continue to move these folks out and get them to their country of origin or a third country that agrees to accept them, because these are hardened criminals.
Rikers Island is similar to Alcatraz in the sense that it's an island surrounded by water. I think the comparisons stop after that, but there's a plan to close Rikers here in New York. Would this administration take action on Rikers?
everything's on the table. I'm not going to get ahead of Secretary Noem or President Trump, but this administration is one of law and order, and we are getting these criminal, illegal aliens off of our streets. We get reports that come in every single day to see who was picked up. We have child molesters, rapists, murderers, arsonists, you name it. There are people who have been in this country for far too long, committing crimes and terrorizing our communities, and we will get them out, whether it be Rikers Island, Alcatraz, Guantanamo Bay, or another detention facility. These people will not be on our street under President Trump and Secretary Noem.
All right, Tricia McLaughlin, thanks for joining us here on this Monday.
You. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
I hate watching stuff like that. Most people in politics, she seems like a nice lady, obviously knows what she's talking about, but it's just so fake. They talk to us like we don't have any common sense at all, like we're just going to eat up any word that comes out of their mouth. Alcatraz isn't going to happen. It's not feasible. It doesn't make any sense. Trump is doing this because he wants to send a message that we're cracking down on crime, and he also wants to distract from the fact that his administration is playing softball. We're not seeing enough deportation numbers, and this is the response to that. However, I do love, just on a pure awesomeness level, Trump's tweet is really great. If you want to go ahead and throw Trump's tweet up on the screen. So this is the tweet that Trump made about it, which is super entertaining, classic Trump style. Rebuild and open Alcatraz. For too long, America has been plagued by vicious, violent, and repeat criminal offenders, the dregs of society who will never contribute anything other than misery and suffering. When we were a more serious nation in times past, we did not hesitate to lock up the most dangerous criminals and keep them far away from anyone that could be harmed. That's the way it's supposed to be. No longer will we tolerate these serial offenders who spread filth, bloodshed, and mayhem on our streets. That is why today I am directing the Bureau of Prisons together with the Department of Justice, FBI, and Homeland Security to reopen a substantially enlarged and rebuilt Alcatraz to house America's most ruthless and violent offenders. We will no longer be held hostage by criminals, thugs, and judges who are afraid that to do their job and allow us to remove the criminals who come into our country legally. The reopening of Alcatraz will serve as a symbol of law and order and justice, and we will make America great again. Now that as awesome as that sounds, it is just more posturing. It would be way better to send these people to El Salvador, a prison that's going to be way worse, way less expensive to run. Alcatraz, reopening it isn't going to do anything other than have criminals wanting to go there so they can see the pretty ocean view out of their window, assuming they keep the same building in place. And if they have to build an entirely new one, and then you have to deal with the boats coming across, the prison guards now also have to take the boats across every time they want to go there. It's a huge expense in the modern era. Back then, there were a lot more people who were willing to do boat rides and things like that, and it was a much less expensive operation. Now it would be very expensive. And so just from a pure cost standpoint, from the standpoint of it's also an awesome tourist attraction that people want to see, and so taking that away is kind of dumb. It's not going to happen. But this needs to be the time when we pressure the Trump administration to, number one, do this for real, but in El Salvador, and number two, stop the talk and start with the deportations. That's what we really need. Deport the criminals, deport the people who came here illegally, deport everyone. And then we can start to rebuild a society that is not so crime-filled only at that point. Now, by the way, Joe is back. Joe is here. He has decided, he has joined us. And
sorry, it's a Monday. It's a typical Monday for me. And it has been all but a crazy day. So you got to talk a little bit about, what have you talked about? I saw Katy Perry.
Yeah, Katy Perry was up on the screen because she has no soul. And by the way, Joe says, Matt, that's the clickbait. Well, what's the deal with the clickbait? Well, the thing about clickbait is it's entertaining. I want to know what's the deal with Katy Perry. Why does she look like she has no soul? I want to know what's up with that. So that's why we do it. It's a full show. We have a lot of substantial talking points and topics, and we try to have real cultural change.
I just said I want you to be an authority on stuff that really. Because there's a lot of bad stuff happening.
I mean, if we're being honest, it is a little bit of clickbait, but it's clickbait because it's worth clicking on. You know what I mean? It's clickbait, but it's interesting. And that's, if we can't have some interesting topics that are clickbait, then what's the point of even having a show? So that's the way I look at it. So we're always going to talk about stuff like that. But at the same time, there are very serious topics, and our country's in a bad spot right now. And we're heading in a direction where we're going to have $40 trillion in debt. where we're not going to have a system that works for almost all of Americans. Only at the very top will it even work slightly, and even at that point, that's starting to be threatened too. So we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah. So that, I think I know this is kind of going off of left field here just a little bit, but this weekend, the Conservative Inc. makes me so angry. Like I had a huge fight with a good friend of mine. Huge. It's not over yet. We're still fighting. And he goes, Joe, you haven't gotten control of your anger. He said that to me. And the reality of it is I haven't. I haven't got a hold of my anger. And but it's really difficult because you sent me the David Portnoy video.
Dave Portnoy. Yeah.
Are we gonna play that?
Yeah, we have it. We can play that. That's
can you clean it up, Apollo, so it's not F this, F that after every word? Well, let me just tell you what my problem is. Right.
And by the way, what he's talking about is there were two girls who decided to hold up an F the Jews sign at a nightclub that Portnoy owns, and he was mad about it because he's Jewish, and he decided to fire them, try to destroy their lives, shame them publicly, and the other two people who were involved send them over to Auschwitz in order to be re-educated so that they will not participate in anything like that ever again, and also destroy their lives and ruin their lives if they don't do it.
I mean, look, it was pretty debilitating because of how he acted.
Yeah,
and so we're going to talk a little bit about that, but that's not it. I have spent a little bragging here. I want to brag a little bit. I've spent 17 years doing the right thing. I built programs to find pedophiles and find people that are being victimized so we could find both sides of it. I did that before it was cool. I did that. Never once did I come out and say, hey, you know what, Matt? I did this. Oh, yeah, I did this. I beat you in basketball. All right, I might have said that.
Yeah, you never said that once.
But my point is that I never set out to say, oh yeah, look at all the stuff I did. I just did it. And in the last 5 years, I've had to hang out with people that in large part, they're just shitty people. They show up because they want to be on a stage. Like, frankly, I just want to hang out with my family. I get on this show because I want to be able to communicate what's really happening. I want to talk about the truth. I don't care what it costs me. I got involved in this by accident. And so my friend said, Joe, you've lost control. You don't have control of your anger. And I think about that. I have a little bit lost control because I have to deal with shitty people. And now John Rich has entered the conversation, right? And then you got Julie Kelly, and you got Kash Patel, and you got Dan Bongino. You got the TikTok crew. You got people. You have. Let me just say it. Kash Patel is the FBI director, and I don't care if he spends one night a week or 3 nights a week in a nightclub. You're a grown-ass man. You're a grown-ass man that's being asked to revitalize an entire organization that has the worst reputation. The Taliban has a better reputation than the FBI. And Dan Bongino, one of the most popular podcasters, you talked a big game. And then when it came time to do the right thing, see, President Trump, can I go on this rant? Can I do this rant?
You need to. You have to.
Dan Bongino, one of the most popular podcasters out there. Yeah, because, that's what it's all about, right? See, President Trump went into office and he made a statement. He goes, you know what? I'm going to pardon all J6ers day one. And he did. He didn't say, you know what, you over there, we don't know if you, he was fruit of the poison tree. And he just came out and said it. He's like, look, I'm going to pardon everybody. Promises made, promises kept. But now you got Bongino and you got Kash Patel and you got, and you've got this good old boy club. You got the same, see, in the vacuum, when you pull something out, you create a vacuum, and what goes in it is sometimes worse than what came out of it. And at least we knew that there were shitbags before. But here's what we got now. We got Garrett, Steve, Kyle, Marcus, Neil, all the whistleblowers in the FBI. All of them. But you know what happened? Here's what happened. Kash Patel walks in after having conversations with all these guys. Before he got confirmed, he was conversing with them. And, you know, yeah, it's going to take time to get you to come back. Instead of sending a clear signal, because you have these things that hang between your legs called balls, you decided that, you know, we're going to align with the Julie Kelly group, the woman that gives money to Democrat groups, who, by the way, none of these people have sacrificed a damn thing. Not one thing. Am I in control of my anger? No, I'm not. Because the Kabuki Theater is bullshit. And here's what happened. I watch who follows who. Who follows who? You know, John Rich follows Kyle Seraphin. Now, Kyle and Steve and Garrett been pretty critical about what's happening in the FBI. Why? Because you betrayed them. You betrayed them. You had an opportunity to bring people in that knew where the bodies were buried and had an axe to grind on doing the right thing, and you walked away from it, you weak cowards. You're cowards. I don't really care. You know what, Dan? You're a great podcaster. You've never led shit. You were a Secret Service agent. This is the Kabuki Theater I talk about, Matt. This is it. You got Kash Patel going to nightclubs. You know when the last time I've been to a nightclub is? Because I'm a grown-ass man who's married. And I got business to do. I'd rather go have dinner. Because that's what people do. They don't go hang out in nightclubs.
Nightclubs are scams anyway, especially the ones. I went to one with some friends before, a long time ago, and basically it's just women who are trying to steal money from you. That's literally all that happens at those clubs for the most part. I mean, there are also clubs where it's about drinking and partying and things. There's multiple different types.
Yeah.
I've been to a couple of different types, and I hated all of them. I think they're all gay. I think they're all dumb. And it's literally just designed to take as much money as you from you as possible.
And it's frankly, there's got to be more to life. But when you're saying that you're an ethical person, this is the same problem I have with Scott Pressler. It's the same problem I have with so many people, man. And everybody's like, Joe, why do you even say anything? Why not? We're supposed to be saving the country, right? 4-year sacrifice. This is all the stuff we did. And then we put the TikTok crew in charge of things. You know, let's do some stuff on now. The Epstein list is wow. It's complicated. We might get the Epstein list at some point. I mean, come on, you cowards. President Trump does the right thing and he puts people in positions of power and trust. And I know he's got to be shaking his head, going, "What the hell is wrong with you people? Nightclubs, really?" But here's the thing. John Rich, he followed Kyle up until Friday. Guess who performed at a nightclub of John Rich's on Saturday?
Who?
Kash Patel's girlfriend.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. She performed at the nightclub?
Yeah, what's it called? A band. I'm saying to myself, you know what? Piss off. This whole idea that we're supposed to be ethical and do the right thing, it's a mirage. I've done the right thing for the last 17 years. And before that, man, that was before Jesus. I was still not a bad guy. I didn't do anything wrong. But I wasn't honorable in the fact that I would go to clubs. I was young. and dumb. 30 years old. I mean, what do you do when you're 30? Probably stupid stuff. Kash Patel's what, 43, 44? How old is Dan Bongino? They can't get their shit together and bring back FBI whistleblowers. They can't show their regard for people that stood up and did the right thing for the American people. Nah, you're just a bunch of cowards. You're a bunch of cowards. And you know what? That's all this group is. It's like a group that calls each other and says, hey, don't talk about this person. And, oh, there's this person. And you're not allowed to be friends with this person. Well, you got pieces of shit like this BX person running out saying, oh, they're hunting Satanists. And then anyone that disagrees with the fact that she's a retard liar, they become the bad guy. This is like the real, you can't even make this up. Social media is just not real. But forget social media. Let's talk about doing what's right for the American people. And we got a group of people that won't let go of the Epstein list. Yeah, the timeline's a little shaky. President Trump does what he's supposed to do when he has a whole line of people who are just following in line with what Blinken did before and what Samantha Power did before and what the FBI director did before, Ray did, and CISA did before. We haven't gotten rid of shit. We haven't done anything. Everybody's like, oh, it just takes time. How do you have the time when you got people running these organizations that are hanging out in nightclubs and butt grinding people in front of them? Do you tell me? You tell me. This is absurd. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed by what is happening in the FBI. I'm embarrassed you could pick up the phone and say, quid pro quo. Let's take care of you. And John Rich, you're like a guy that I really looked up to. And how do I look up to you anymore? And Susan Rice, yes, I'm very happy my wife is home.
And by the way, most people in the federal government are gay. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's a fact. It has been confirmed multiple times. More than 50%. When they go and do these drinking parties, there's flirtation that happens between men. That is extremely common.
Can't be real.
I'm not saying Kash Patel specifically is gay, even though he's acting a little bit gay right now by not doing his damn job. But most of them are. And so when they do these parties, it is extremely egregious what goes on there. So not only are they wasting our time, wasting our money, pulling us along, but they're also doing it in a way that is extremely against the values that we are supposed to be pushing forward and representing as a country, especially as a party, when it comes to the Republican Party, which I would like to identify as at times, but at other times I want to push myself as far away from as possible.
You know, I do get angry, Matt. I get angry. Because I put my life on the line, quite literally. And then everybody else wants to walk around and be like, oh, it's been so hard. It's been so hard. Oh. I'm thinking to myself, okay, I don't want to complain. All I want is the people that are in positions of power and trust to act like they care about the American people. And right now, they're not doing that. They're not doing any of it. They're an embarrassment. Because the first thing you should do, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, the first thing you should do is not go to a nightclub or do photo ops with Pam Bondi. You should get Tina Peters out of jail. You should bring back the FBI whistleblowers and write a statement. You shouldn't be promoting people like Jensen and then sending your dog whistle girl, Julie Kelly, out to cover up. And by the way, I'm not mad at any of you. So if this is offending you, if this is offending these leaders, if it's offensive to you what I'm saying, right? If it's offensive, then you're not worth the paper you're printed on anyway. You can't be held accountable. You don't want people saying bad things about you while you fly around on $50 million private jets and act like you're untouchable. You act like you're a part of the same mob that we just got rid of with Biden for 4 years. And President Trump, by the way, is worth billions of dollars, and you want to act like you're the jet setter. And you know what? I'm embarrassed for you. I'm so disappointed in what you have actually represented yourself to be. I kept telling Kyle, I kept telling Steve, I kept telling Garrett. I was like, you know what? They'll come around. And you know what their come around is? Promoting Jensen, the guy that threw the book at J6ers to treat people like crap. That's coming around. That's not, this country is going to hell in a handbasket, not because of the left. It's because the right is filled with the left. It's filled. It's good versus evil. And we want to create this kabuki theater. I'm out.
And by the way, we have now over 800,000 views, which is, I believe, the most viral post about Tina Peters.
Yeah.
since she's been in prison. There were a few very viral posts, including one that I made before she ended up getting in prison. She was being sentenced. She was being attacked with the legal system, the full force of it. But now a lot of people seem to have kind of moved on from her case, at least in terms of taking up mental space. And I think that needs to change. And I appreciate every single one of you who retweeted and liked, because we are making this go viral organically. It didn't start off viral. It didn't seem like it was even going to get that many views, but so many people liked, retweeted, commented, shared, that it is forcing it to go viral, whether the algorithm wants to push it or not. And that is my favorite type of post. When that happens, that is what I love to see, because it is making positive change. It is calling for action, and it is being organically shared without the help of the algorithm. Beautiful thing to see.
It really is. It really is. Yeah, I'm sorry to get all twisted on you guys, but look, it gets to the point where, you know, even the Daily Mail over in the UK is writing about how Kash Patel spends all of his time in nightclubs, more than he is on the 7th floor. And look, Kash, I don't dislike you. I've had you on the show. You've been on the show. I don't dislike you. But this is not a movie set. Like, this is real life. This is real life for people in the community, the people that, you know, want opportunity. And you want to know why young people don't trust leadership? You know why young people don't have any respect for cops? Don't have respect for judges? They don't have respect for anybody. You want to know why? Because what did you leave them? No opportunity, but you can just go and do the jungle jiggy, whatever you want to call it, at a nightclub when the FBI is literally in a place of absolute turmoil, or are you just returning it back to the way it was, just with a different, you know, just lipstick on a pig? Because that's what it looks like.
And keep in mind, both Joe and I could get invited to the White House, could be friends with these people if we wanted to. We could be part of this. We could make money from it. Both of us have that opportunity. I have more views on the Epstein files and the Epstein case than anyone else on earth when it comes to social media.
This is true.
And yet, I didn't even get invited to the White House. You want to know why? I could be making money. I could be getting paid. I could be already getting rich right now easily from doing that if I wanted to. But I am refusing to, because I would rather criticize when the Trump administration isn't doing a good enough job and say the truth about Kash Patel than I would to be friends with him, or to have him come on the show, or to get paid, or to be invited to the White House. I don't care. I'm willing to sacrifice it all if we have the ability, and Joe's willing to do the same thing, to call out the truth. And no matter which side we're supposed to be on, or this or that, we're going to continue to keep fighting. And the other thing that I want to show you, Joe, take a look at this. So this is an article from Katy Perry and her relationship with someone who you may be familiar with, Russell Brand, who's now a pretty big show on Rumble. He divorced her after 14 months of marriage, to put up the article, because she decided that doing drugs was more important than having a family. He was trying to be clean. She was trying to continue on this path of evil and drugs. And I think it's not just that we're seeing this with Hollywood. We're seeing this with the political class too. They're being controlled by drugs. They're being controlled by systems, by temptations. And Katy Perry has been robbed of the chance to have a family. She has been robbed of her personality altogether. She is now a walking shell who does nothing but make money for her masters. That is it. That is all she is capable of. They say go on the rocket. She says, okay, let me know when. They say dance around in an embarrassing costume, pretend like you're dancing with literal excrement on camera, which we played a few days ago on the show. And she has to do all of it. And she doesn't even push back. She has an insanely high net worth, over $100 million. She doesn't need more money. So why is she embarrassing herself on camera? Why is she exposing her body to the world? What does she gain from it? Why doesn't she want to start a family? Because they have robbed the very essence of humanity from her. And that's what I mean when I say she doesn't have a soul. I don't necessarily mean that she literally doesn't have a soul. I mean, her soul is so far gone that it is no longer even resembling what it once was before they got their hands on her.
Well, you know, it's fun to kind of bring that together with your generation, which is the pop generation, right? It's the generation of going to nightclubs. And yeah, I went to nightclubs when I was younger, you know, with bottle service. So, well, my point is that if I wanted to go live that life, if I wanted to go embarrass myself and go out and dance around and stay out till 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, I could. I have all the means to do those things. And, you know, that brings me to Portnoy. Portnoy? Did I say that right?
Dave Portnoy, yep.
I went and did a video this morning, Matt, and that video was, this can't be a real story. I said that, and I didn't put it out. I didn't put the video. I didn't put it out. And because I didn't feel like it was that people would understand what I was saying. So I wanted to be able to speak it live.
Yeah.
Or I can't take it back. Right. Or I can't say, all right, well, I've recorded it. I'm going to say it live. Dave Portnoy is upset because somebody put a F the Jews in his nightclub. And, all this anti-Semitism, he's going to destroy him. And he called one person up and calls her dumber than a rock. She's at a dance recital. His words.
Stuff like that makes me want to hold up that sign, honestly, because...
No, hold on. Before you say that, this is the stuff I'm trying to teach you.
Yeah.
Right? Is that I know the frustration wants you to hold up that sign.
Right.
Right? But that's what people need to understand where things are going. See, things are going south really quick on quote unquote Jews. They are. They are. And if I could do an entire show and tell you what I experienced when, I went to Israel, I went to Jordan, Bahrain, Lebanon, Syria, Sudan, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Libya, Chad. By the way, most of those are in North Africa. I've been to all these countries, all of them. And when I went there, one of the things that I realized, Iraq, Afghanistan, I went there with the idea, Matt, that, we sent our men there in 2002. We sent our men to Iraq to free them, right? Operation Iraqi Freedom. And what we left was millions of people that died, including our own people, our own soldiers, our own Americans. And then we found out that there was no weapons of mass destruction. And the more and more we peel back the onion, we keep seeing more and more lies. And so I want to play David Portnoy, and then I'm going to tell you what I think. And I want to teach Matt not to want to hold up that sign. But there is a sign to be held. There's a sign to be held. People are like, oh man, Muslims are all bad. They're trying to take over what they call Texas. And the answer is yeah, they are. Because they can't go live overseas. Because the CIA and everyone else went over there and decided, hey, we're not going to respect the sovereignty of these nations. So they had to come over here. And we killed millions of innocent people in a lot of countries. We killed more people since World War II, the United States did, than ever died in World War II. Since World War II till now. And look, this is not going to be popular with you, right? But the sovereignty of nations, you think what is it called? Ukraine is what Ukraine is because we didn't go in there and screw it all up?
Of course, the CIA was 100% behind it.
And what Dave is saying is that Dave's the big guy on campus, right? Oh, we're going to protect our own. I'm going to dig into this. You're not coming after Jews. No. Listen, the American people are not going after Jews. They're going after the Jewish group.
Yeah.
These atheists.
But
this fraternity that they built to actually attack American people and think that we're a bunch of dogs and they can treat us any way they want. And you got a fraternity that are judges like Bosberg, who said, yeah, you know what? Go down there and get that thug so we can put him on the street because we'll just have him do our work for us and terrorize the American people. We'll let him out every couple years. We want to stand up MS-13. We don't want to get rid of him because we need people to create chaos on the streets. That's what Bosberg said. Klaus Schwab said over at World Economic Forum, oh, you know what? We're going to become gods. Yuval Noah Harari, little gay stick figure that you have that says, oh, I'm Jewish. No, he's Jewish. He's a gay dude that goes over and says that he wants to exterminate 95% of the population of the world. And then you talk about number of people that hold dual citizenships from the United States and Israel. And these are not Jews. These are Jewish people. And do you want to know what people in the United States have a problem with? They have a problem with Jewish people that hide behind being Jewish. being a Jew, as cover for all the bad shit that they have done for people in this country. That's what people are tired of. You want to know what they're tired of? They're tired of the fact that the entire entertainment industry is owned by the Jewish. The financial thing is owned by the Jewish. The judgeships are owned by Jewish. It's not Jews. Nobody cares. Nobody hates Jews. We hate the fraternity. We hate the fraternity that's been turned into this thing that robs us of our dignity. That's what we hate. And the fact that you're not allowed to talk about it, yet everyone knows that that's true. Because if you go and talk to some of the nicest, God-fearing Jewish people you will ever meet in your entire life, and they get overshadowed by people that yell anti-Semitism. You're bad, Candace Owens. When all she's trying to do is point out a fraternity that literally has destroyed the fiber of everything that represents the opportunity in this country, except for this little group of people. What David did is wrong. What David Portnoy did is wrong. It's disgusting. And you know what? I don't mean that from a standpoint that he's Jewish, but the fact that he feels that he can do whatever he wants and act with whatever impunity he wants and just hide behind the fact, oh, they're attacking Jews. No, they're attacking Jewish people that have actually done really dangerous, demonic things to a lot of people. While the people that are really Jewish, that literally love their faith and serve God, those people get overshadowed by the stink of the people that frankly just hide behind it and say, oh, by the way, and I'm not white. That's the reality. Nobody hates Jews, but they do hate these demons that hide behind being of Jewish descent.
Yeah, I mean, there are very few people who hate Jews as a whole. There are people who certainly hate that.
They're starting to get there, though.
I mean, and there are some people who hate all Jews. But it's
because of what I just said.
To describe some people. It is because of that primarily. It's because of what certain Jewish people are doing that's extremely evil. Jewish atheists. It's what they're doing. And the reason why I don't care about getting canceled, I'm not going to back down from what I said earlier in the show, is because it is important when we are told that we're not allowed to say something, that we push back on it. That we say, okay, we're not allowed to say this. Well, you know what? We can criticize any group of people that we want. And we're going to have smart criticism. We're going to have a high IQ. Here's the specific reasons why. Here's why it's not every single person who fits that mold. But at the same time, there has to be a broad movement that is strong, that is unafraid, unabashed, and is willing to call out any group of people who is subverting our culture. And there are a lot of Jewish atheists right now who are doing that. And so to hold up that sign, and in the video, by the way, they were just trolling. It was a joke. They weren't even being serious about it. So I don't even think this specific example would even be anything except for the fact of what Dave made of it, that he thinks he is so much better than everyone else. And and there's 70 million other people who died in World War II. Many of them were systematically forced to fight in that war. Many of them were civilians who got taken out, and we don't get to have museums to them. We don't get to have you go and see where they lost their lives. And I think that's extremely unfair because their lives matter just as much as the people who died at Auschwitz. Yeah, they're all equal.
My problem is that my Jewish brothers and sisters, the people that I do care about, they have to deal with hate because of the people that have ruined lives. You know, we have a fraternity of judges in this country, judges, lawyers, like people that run things, that are also duly invested in the for-profit prison system. And because they feel like they can let out the really bad people and lock people like Tina Peters up for 9 years, that's actually a good thing. You know, the DA in that case, Jewish.
In the Tina Peters case?
Yeah, Jewish. And you know what? He's a faithless little coward, a deviant.
I didn't know.
Just like the judge.
Yeah. Well, the judge is Catholic.
Catholic.
Well, no, he's atheist. He claims to be Catholic. He died as an atheist man. I can tell you right now. That is not a Catholic man. A Catholic man would not go and use those principles when it comes to.
But again, the same thing you say about the Catholic faith. People that actually hide behind it. And there's a certain fraternity. I'm personally looking into Catholicism, have for a long time. I'm walking that path. And every time I turn around, I have another example of, I had a choice in my life. Do you want to pursue Judaism? Do you want to pursue Christianity? Do you want to pursue, and I have I believe in Jesus. Sorry, it's just the way it is. I know that he is my Lord and Savior, and I 1000% believe in the gospel. I've studied it. I've studied it in Aramaic. The translations from Aramaic to English, from Aramaic to Arabic. I've looked at the scriptures from New Testament, Old Testament. I've looked at all of it. Like I'm thirsty for that knowledge. And so now I look at Catholicism and I'm like, okay, is this the path that I need to take? I don't know. But I know enough about the faithless that if they don't believe in God and they're this atheistic, I just want to be a good person just to be a good person. You have no barometer of being a good person because you don't believe that there's any consequence. It's just not above the fact that they may hold you accountable for what's happening right here. You think you turn into worm food. That's not a good person. That's not typically a good person.
But if the consequences for holding up a sign, you have your life ruined, shouldn't everyone hold up the sign so we can say you can't ruin people's lives over this anymore? I mean, yeah, we can agree you shouldn't say F all of a certain group of people. That is wrong. But at the same time, when the consequence so far outweighs the message, then at some point it has to be everyone stands up and says, me too. There's something has to be done because the consequence can't be your life gets ruined if you put up a troll sign.
Can I be the arbiter of reality for you?
You can.
And I mean this look, I don't think that I have any more knowledge of today than you do, but I have more wisdom just based on the fact that I've been through more. And it's not a is that right? We didn't change it. Yeah, it is. I just put it in the deal. This is why it's dangerous to do that, for everyone to hold up a sign. What I'm about to show you is the reason why. Ilhan Omar went on TV and said this. That is, and the scary part is that nobody has admonished this almost not an American. Nobody has admonished her. And she said that the country should be more fearful of white men. We should be profiling, monitoring, creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men. So what she's saying is...
What an evil psychopath.
What's that?
Yeah, we do want to play the clip.
Yeah, let's play it.
I would say our country should be more fearful of white men across our country because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country. We should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men.
Disgusting. You're not like us. You are not from here. You are not part of our culture. You should stay away. You should go back to your country. That is how I feel when I watch it. I do not like her. I think she's evil.
Why? Hold on. Let's get to the middle of this. This is super important because the feelings that you're feeling right now, not to be a camp counselor or a psychologist in this, what does it make you feel to know that she's basically saying you're evil?
Obviously, that's why no one group of people should be entirely demonized. But at the same time, she doesn't even have, there is no basis. There isn't the group of white men who are right now. And I guess that's not true. There are plenty of white men who are doing evil things. But at the same time, this country versus another country, this country is white Christian men and women primarily. That is the majority of the country. That is our country. I'm not going to go over to her country and try to demonize people there. So I think that is an important distinction. But you are right that it doesn't like.
How did it make you feel?
Jewish people who see that sign and see people who are hating on them, who aren't participating in any evil, who don't hate Christians, who have love for the country and for the morals, it's not fair to them. That is true. That is, and I've always agreed with that, and it doesn't feel good, and that's why I'm very careful to.
But if you held up a sign,
yeah,
if you held up a sign that says "F Jews," And then the next guy held up a sign and said, F Jews. It's the same thing as Ilhan Omar and what these radicalized demons have done. And most of them, by the way, are Jewish, white, liberal women who are also atheists or changed their gender or done weird stuff to themselves that are saying the same thing about white people. She literally does not believe what she says. She just wants, there's a jealousy factor in what that person's doing. She wants to tear down what all that is good. But the same way that these Jewish people want to tear down everything that Jews, same thing with black people, same thing with Asians. You know who we don't talk about a lot?
Asians.
We don't talk about Asians. Why?
Because they're too
We
busy.
don't talk about they. We don't talk.
We don't
They
talk
get
about
too high
Asians.
score. They score too high.
They
score
be
too high.
cooking rice. They're too busy cook rice.
But they are so smart.
So smart.
Well, so nobody talks
very,
about them.
Very
Why?
IQ. Very IQ. I don't know, because they don't. Well, first of all, they're a tiny percent of our population. That would be probably the primary reason. But and they don't cause a lot of drama. I guess they don't try to form evil groups and take over our society and push. I mean, they do vote at a high rate for Democrats.
Have you seen China? There's 1 billion people over there.
China, and it's a communist country. It's crazy over
It
there.
is. But it's
I
also
don't want to
clean.
live in an Asian. I don't want
It's
to live in
clean.
an Asian country. I mean,
It's clean.
I do think Asian people are one of the better immigrant groups, and so are
Bro, they're
Hispanic
super
people.
racist.
But
They're super racist.
the main immigrant group that I don't want is like, basically, here's how I look at it: immigrants from countries that are nice rank higher. Immigrants from countries that are worse rank lower, because we will become more like whatever group comes in. But that's why I would rather just not have any immigrants come in,
Hold on a
and then
second.
we'll be better off.
Time out. They are racist.
Asians, yeah.
But
Some
there's a lot of groups that are racist.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
And when I say that, I mean it from the standpoint of you have to recognize the fact that people of a certain race have come to a conclusion that they either are superior or they want themselves to be superior. That's what Ilhan Omar is saying. And in order for Ilhan Omar to stand up, she has to demean other people because she has to make herself feel as if she is superior. Right? So I don't think that, we have a bigger problem in our hands because we've allowed this ridiculousness to go on. Well, I want to hear, do you want to hear Portnoy? You want to hear what he has to say? We cleaned it up.
Yeah, why don't we play the clip? And by the way, the sign, it's not about saying F the Jews. The sign, the only reason why I have the feelings I have is because something must be done to send a message that it's not okay to ruin some kid's life, some young woman's life, because she decided to hold up a sign trying to troll people. Like, you can't ruin someone's life over that. So what do we have to do? Do we have to hold up a sign? Do we have to comment that that's wrong of you? Tell me what we have to do in order to have our society not have the consequence for that, be your entire life gets ruined. Whatever I have to do, that's what I'm going to do. And hopefully it doesn't take holding up a sign. I don't want to do that. But tell me what it does take. That's what I'm asking.
Viewer discretion. I think we cleaned it up as best we could, but David Portnoy is just, he's a multi-millionaire that acts like a grown man-child. Let's go and play it.
All right, emergency press conference time. So I'm getting ready to go to the Met Gala, and all of a sudden my phone, the last hour or two, my phone's blowing up. Our bar in Philadelphia, Barstool Sampson Street, usually a great bar. Bottle service, people buy drinks. You get a sign. There was a sign yesterday that said, the Jews. I've been shaking. I've been so mad for the last 2 hours. Like, I instantly got on. This is why the emergency press conference was late, because I was so over the top. It's like, I'm going to make it my life mission to ruin these people. Like, I'm coming to your throat. I'm never ending. And I just sat, and for the last 2 hours, I have been on the trail. Trust me, I've been on the trail. You think I'm going to put up with this shit at my bar? So I've been hunting down waitresses, the table who did it, and everything you can name, because I want consequences for actions. So I'm not just sitting back like, oh, what are you going to know? Trust me, I have been on it. I believe the 2 waitresses responsible for the table already fired. I talked to one of them, one of the dumbest humans I've ever talked to in my life. She's at a dance recital. She's like, can I call you back in 20? No, honey, you can't. This is your one chance to talk to me. Idiot, total idiot, this girl. I've talked to the guy Mike Wade who's tagged. Guess what? He wasn't even there. I had this kid basically in tears turning state witness to me, rolling on the people who were there. I've talked to one of the two guys who did it. He's like, I'm not anti-Semitic. He's basically crying to me. And I'm just like, I don't buy it for a second. Who the would do that sign in my bar? You think I'm just going to sit here? I'm going to make it my mission to put you in the lights. My mission. Kid's crying. I just hung up on his ass. I go, I'm giving you 1 hour. 1 hour. 2 kids go to temple. Tell me, how do I make this right before I go ape shit? You want to take anti-Semitism classes, you want to do whatever, you make it feel right. I don't need your tears. The Mike Wade kid wasn't even there. Wasn't in the bar. We got the footage, he's not even in the bar. Trust me, they're pulling the footage, they're doing this. I'm 20 steps ahead. I'm using everything. I'm like, I am going to come for your throat unless you give me answers. The 2 girls at the bar, idiots. This one girl, one of the waitresses, I just told her, like, you're the dumbest motherfucker I've ever talked to. 25 years old, going on 2, you dumb. What I'm saying is I'm getting the names. I'm trying to be a little responsible. I'm trying to keep it together, but I'm on it. I'm on it.
See, that's about control. That is a sadistic control. Imagine if you come on and said, hey, you know, these 2 girls held up a sign. I don't think they really knew what they were talking about necessarily. Here's why that's not a positive message. Here's how I feel about it. And imagine if you'd come from that place. Imagine if it was a positive, I'm going to explain to these girls why, here's my perspective. We don't have to agree on everything, but I'm not going to try to make it a control thing. I'm not going to try to ruin their lives. If it was that, it would have been a different story, but it wasn't. And that's what makes me angry. That's what makes me want to fight and push back. Because when I see something happen that is wrong, and when it's clear it's not about morals in his case, it's about control, that pisses me off.
No, that's actually yes. Everything you said, validate 1,000%. What you just said is absolutely true. But who decides that somebody is dumber than a box of rocks, and that you know that this person's dumb and they're already fired and they're all piece of crap? I mean, he can basically take someone and tear them down, and I'm just supposed to accept what? That he's gonna. And by the way, if he wanted to do that to me, like, I would never hold up a sign for anybody. But let's hypothetically say he called me up. Last thing I would do is cry.
Never. I would never do that. I would rather him fire me every single day of the weekend on Sunday than say one thing that validates that guy's ego. And like he's the moral authority.
He's
over
not
there
a moral
slinking
authority of
pizzas on prostitutes, most likely, like hanging out with random girls all the time, no family values whatsoever, drinking, probably doing a lot of drugs. Like that's the moral authority. That's the guy who gets to decide the moral direction of our society. I don't think so.
Well, I think my issue again is the fact that he got on, he did get ratioed. Like, he put this up on X and he got ratioed. I would bet you that 95% of the comments were not favorable to him, which is why I come back to the fact that there's a real problem. I mean, David Portnoy is a part of the problem. You can say, oh, Joe, you can't attack David Portnoy. Man, you know what? I can say whatever I want, and I can criticize whoever I want. And here's what I'm telling you. The day that you think that you can have power and dominion over some 20-year-old girl and say that, no, you missed your only opportunity to talk to me, the King Portnoy, that you have to talk to me. That's the day you lost the respect of a lot of people. I mean, there was people in the comments that were just like, yeah, what is wrong with you? Like, this cannot be a real story. They had up a sign that says, F the Jews. That's it? That's what you're upset over? But you can shit all over you want, all over Christians, all over anybody else. I mean, it just doesn't matter who it is. As long as you're not Jewish, you can't say a word. I will muzzle you. And you don't think we live in a slave state run by people who represent less than 2% of our population? We're literally a bunch of rabid dogs that they just treat like we're nothing. And you get to talk like that? You're gonna take us out. He used the F word so many times Apollo, how many times you have to it was like 30 times, 40 times?
And notice he said my family. And then I think he said it even more in the second video. But he's not even claiming, I don't even think himself to be currently Jewish. He's of a Jewish family, but he is currently atheist, and he makes that very clear in the video. So I like, once again, another point to the fact that he is not going to be the moral authority of anyone who wants to
It's
be
a fraternity.
closer to God.
It's a
That's
fraternity.
right.
It's a fraternity that has captured. And look, man, it is so hard for me. One of my close friends works inside the company. His name's Larry. He's Jewish. I love his wife. I love his family. His kids are amazing. He is a God-fearing man. And you know what? The God-fearing men and women who really just are incredible people of character and have served the community and have amazing relationships, even they are afraid of the, what is it, Karzasian mob? Is that what it is? Khazarian mob? Whatever. I don't even know what it is. What else would you call it? I mean, and by the way, I'm open. If you want to tell me, if someone in the comments wants to tell me that I'm wrong and that, Joe, you're totally wrong and this is why, I'll listen. I'm sitting here looking at it right now. You have every opportunity to tell me I'm wrong and tell me why I'm wrong. But it's getting to the point now where it's ratcheting up. And good people are going to be adversely affected by it, and it's not going to let up. The people know, and people know that 46% of all federal judges are Jewish. And some of them are good. Some of them are actually God-fearing men and women. But a vast majority of them are demons. They're devils. And that's what we're talking about here. And if we can't start having conversations about the problem, I don't know how to help you. My family, every part of my family, black, white, green, purple, Jewish, Christian, Catholic, they're all saying the same thing. That we have literally forgotten our humanity and we can't hold people accountable for being shitbags. Yes, Scuttlebutton says targeting Jewish persons is getting worse than when blacks were targeted. Yes. I was in a restaurant, Matt. We were in a restaurant, and the guy at the front, sitting at the table right next to us. Yeah, that's a Jewish guy. He literally said it looking at the TV, and I looked up and I was like, "Yep." And it was the authority. People are growing. There is a growing animosity it's really, really bad. Like, they're not wrong. But when you're like the ADL and you take my name and you put my name on the ADL list, and it's like, oh, this is a hate group. This is a hate group guy. You make me absolutely want to vomit at the idea that you get to call me a hateful person. Are you serious? And then people wonder why my blood pressure's up so high. You know why it's up high? Because Matt can walk down the street right now and they can just decide. I mean, Joe Ellis. What is Joe Ellis? Say it.
What is Joe Ellis?
Yeah.
A lovely person. No, I don't. Joe Ellis, what Joe is referring to, Joe Ellis is someone who was born as a man and decided to transition into a woman. And also, are you referencing that Joe Ellis is also in the process of converting to Judaism? Is that what you're referencing as well?
Yeah. Like it's like a club. It's like a club so you can get away with things, you can be a part of things, you can, right? And this piece of trash, Joe Ellis, I'll just say it, you're a piece of trash. Joe Ellis is a piece of trash. My name's Joe Oltmann. Go find me. Serve me with a lawsuit. Because I'll tell you, you're trash. You're a confused, gender-confused individual. You attacked Matt. You want to come after his family. And by the way, we traced it down. Did we not trace it? 6 hours beforehand. Before Matt put anything up, it was already on Twitter. 6 hours. Major publications were writing about Joe Ellis being the helicopter pilot. But you came after Matt because he's a young guy. You came after Matt because he put it up there that you have a helicopter, that you're a helicopter pilot, but you weren't in it. Even though it all fit. I wouldn't be surprised if Joe Ellis was the one that put it out to launch the podcast career.
And by the way, I really appreciate this Joe over here standing up for me. Not obviously, I'm not referencing Joe Ellis in that situation, but at the same time, I believe Joe was reached out by people who are intending to cause harm, who are intending to hurt creators. I don't actually believe Joe is evil. I don't believe Joe. I believe there's a very strong possibility Joe is going to look at this and say, I don't want to go forward with this. I think that's what's going to happen.
They're going to try to rattle the money tree. That's what they're trying to do.
But yeah, I mean, they did. They came after me because there was absolutely no malice whatsoever. There really wasn't. I don't post things unless I believe they are true, period. And if I do find out something that I posted was false, I put out a correction and I make it very clear. And I try to make sure a lot of people are able to see that, as many people as possible. Because I have integrity when it comes to this, and I do not stray from it. And there's no reason for me to make up a story like that. I would never do that, period. But at the same time, there were so many people who they could go after.
Bad people came to your house, Matt. Bad people came to a house that wasn't even yours. Bad people came to your family's house. I mean, these are bad people. These aren't just people. They sent people to your home. It wasn't even your home. That's the worst part about it. And then we get to hear about it. And then they've sent. I mean, these are bad people. So I'm sorry. I'm going to say what Matt won't say.
And just
these are cowards.
It's a fix and flip, by the way. So they're coming after
and it's
me
flipped.
Theoretically, and I don't. Again, from a public standpoint, I don't know anything about any lawsuits. But at the same time, there are people who are currently trying to come after me and who have decided that a literal fix and flip. I don't know. It's just ridiculous. So I think it's disgusting because what they're trying to do. Fortunately, it doesn't matter in this case, but what they're trying to do is make it so my family's unsafe. That's what these people are trying to do. They're trying to establish law. They're trying to make it so that if you tweet about widely circulating news, then you have your First Amendment rights infringed upon. That's what they want to make it, and I think it's really bad. But I want to be specific. The reason why I don't think Joe Ellis is a bad person, I really don't, and I'm not just saying that because of the lawsuit, is because I have watched what Joe has said. I've listened directly to Joe, and I've heard expanded thoughts on why the transgender community at times has gone to extreme. And that's something I agree with. And I think Joe is trying to influence that back in the other direction to where it's not like this extreme, you have to be far left if you want to be transgender. I think that's a good thing. I think that's a positive thing. And if Joe Ellis was out there saying, and Joe also has different thoughts. Joe doesn't believe someone with a massive advantage should compete with women. That's something I agree with. And I want there to be more voices like that in that community who are saying stuff like that. And that's why specifically, I'm not being weak about it. I really do think those are positive things. And if Joe was out there saying, I want men to compete with women, I think all these children as young as 10 should be getting hormone therapies and this and that and all these extreme thoughts, and you have to vote for only one way based on your community. If Joe was saying all that stuff, I wouldn't be saying I think Joe is a good person. Joe isn't saying that. And Joe seems to actually have a positive direction of taking things. And so I respect it. I really do respect it. And I hate that my family's being involved in this and they're trying to target me. And I think it's awful, but I'm not going to change my values or the systems that I agree with just based on something like that. I just won't. And so those are my thoughts on it. I really hope that at the end of the day, the people who are doing this understand what they are doing, and they're going to have to face when I say face the consequences, what I specifically mean by that is they have to sleep with themselves at night knowing they're going after someone who they know.
Bad people don't care.
Yeah, you're right.
Bad people don't care. I mean, look, I'm just going to tell you. I mean, I wish that there was I wish that and this is just the age of it. Like, bad people, you cannot reason with evil. You cannot the only thing you do is you can beat the hell out of it. You know what you can do with evil? You can beat it back into the hole it came out of. But evil, you can't be like, please, please. Do you know how many videos there are of people saying, please, 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 as they're getting shot in the head by some evil piece of crap? I mean, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. I do want to do this. I think that this video has to be played. The greatest deception today is thinking that it's about race. It's not about spirituality. It's not about light versus darkness, evil versus good. God is drawing a line. Choose who you serve. And that really is what this is all about. And that's what my whole comments were about, is that these are evil people. These are demonic people who are hurting children. They're trafficking children. They're stealing. They're robbing the American people. They're creating propaganda so that President Trump can't get to the bottom of the trillions of dollars that is wasted. They're going after Elon Musk. They're burning down cars of people that own Tesla just to adversely affect Tesla and so that they could hurt Elon. I mean, these are evil, evil people. But here's someone that has a different perspective, and she's just telling you how it is. Let's play it. C3.
I think the greatest deception of this generation is the fact that y'all still think this is about black versus white, and it's not about light versus darkness. Y'all still think this is about race and not spirituality. It has always been about light versus darkness, holiness versus wickedness, people who are walking in good versus those walking in evil. There is a great line, and God is really drawing a line saying, choose this day who you will serve. Are you going to be on the side where you serving God, or are you going to be on the side where you serving the devil? There's this story about this fence. There's a guy who's at the middle of this fence, and on one side of the fence there is the enemy, on the other side of the fence there is God. And the enemy is telling him, hey, if you come over to my side, I can promise you wealth, I can promise you fame, I can promise you everything that you ever desired. And then God is saying, no, if you come to this side, I could offer you eternity, I could offer you peace, joy, wisdom, I can offer you so much more. But the guy is like, honestly, I like what both of y'all are offering. How about I don't choose either and I just sit right here on the middle of the gate? I could dabble in over here when I get ready, dabble over there when I get ready, and then eventually the time runs out and his light is snuffed out. He runs out of time, and he opens his eyes and he realizes he's surrounded in the presence of the enemy by spiritual darkness. And he goes, no, wait, I didn't choose this. I said, I didn't choose either of you. I didn't choose you. Why am I on this side? And the devil goes, I created the fence. So I'm saying all this to say, choose this day who you're going to serve, because you cannot afford to be indecisive. This is not the season of indecision. This is the season where you choose this day who you are going to serve, because this is not about race anymore. That was a principality that happened in a different time. Now we're in a different season where the principality is about spirituality. It's about good versus evil. And you know, everything is out in the open, both wickedness and goodness, wide out in the open. There's a revival, okay? A revival taking place of God's people. But there's also an exposure of wickedness like we have never seen it before. It's right in our faces. It's so blatant. It's so audacious that you gotta know that there's a great divide in the earth today. And if you are on the wrong side, you are going to be mad. So to my brothers and sisters in Christ, if you are hearing this, choose this day who you gonna serve. You cannot afford to be indecisive, to be dibbling and dabbling in every little bit of everything. No. God is saying, do away with your idols, do away with your sin, and choose this day who you gonna serve, because you cannot afford to sit on the fence.
We got our mics back, Apollo?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, man. You know, what you said is really important to understand, and that is, we have fence walkers. You have guys like Kyle. You have guys that have been whistleblowers, guys that have been standing up for years. And then you have people that are sitting on the fence. You have people that talk about the good game. I want to do this and then dabble over here, and I'm going to go to nightclubs, and I'm going to piss all over a 20-year-old girl that's just trying to make a go, or ruin a Temple kid's life because he's like, show me how you can bow down to me. Dog. That's in essence what we're talking about here. And the fearful thing for me is that he doesn't get held accountable. And he said he's doing it for the greater good. Well, the greater good is what exactly?
We need to send him to go see where 20 million white Christians died on the battlefield in Russia in World War II. Many of whom were forced to be there, were mercilessly and brutally killed in a war that was caused by the elites, that was caused by people who wanted it to happen, who wanted to, and also caused by Hitler too, who's in many ways part of that. But regardless, that's what Joe needs to. I think Dave needs to go see that. Dave needs to go see where those. And you see, I'm making a point here, right? Like, imagine if every single time someone did something we didn't like, we made them go and see a spot. You know, it's just. I think it's at a certain point, it becomes like, okay, like we know that happened. Yes, we all agree it's bad. We agree it's bad when people of all different origins all lost their lives mercilessly in that conflict. But it's not something you can just use over and over and over again in order to threaten people and destroy their lives and say you have to do this or else. I don't think that's the right way to go about it. And it makes me upset.
No, it isn't the way to go about it. I don't have anything to add to what you said because it's absolutely true. And we're going to close out with this. Kamala Harris. This is what I talk about when I say that the government is out of control. Past, present, future. I mean, President Trump is the shining light. Caroline Leavitt, shining light. There are a few of them. There are ones. There are some really good people.
Even though I expect a lot more from Trump, though.
Well, the problem is that you don't know where the bodies are buried. And when you do know where the bodies are buried, a judge steps in and says you can't do that.
That is true.
Tom Homan is great. He's great at what he does. Absolutely great at what he does.
But he can hire better people. Trump can do better hiring. And he's capitulating to his donors more so than he should. He's a good man who knows what's right. And at most times he does it, but at times he says, I'm going to do what the donors say.
I don't think he cares.
Then why did he hire Rubio? Why is Rubio part of the administration?
I don't know. I don't know. But I do know that Rubio is holding up quite a bit of the policies that came before him with Blinken when it comes to South and Central America. I do know that that's the case.
Yep.
And I know that there's some shining lights that Rubio is putting out front like beacons while walking past what's happening. There's some good ones. I mean, El Salvador is taking back some of their scummiest, terrible people.
Yeah, some of their terrorists.
But you have to you also have to look at what's happening in Guatemala. They're walking past and letting them just rape children. The biggest hotspot, the most children to ever disappear out of any South or Central American country was out of the country of Guatemala. And they came out of an organization called Save the Children that was run by Jill Biden some decade ago. True story. Go check it out. But Kamala Harris, man, you look at what has been done in politics and what they're getting away with. That see you next Tuesday should never be able to show her face. But she's out at a ritzy bar, flanked by taxpayer-funded cops after trashing President Trump on the economy.
That alcoholic was one election away from becoming president of the United States.
Do you know what you want to hear something?
Yeah.
I had an escape hatch plan. I had to leave the country. I was literally going to leave the country in November if President Trump lost.
Can you say on air where you're going to go, or is that? Yeah, you can't because I'm gonna have him tell me after because I'm super curious now what his plan was. I didn't know about that. That's
I had to know that I had to go to a country that I could protect myself, that I'd have access to the right raw materials. In other words, weaponry to protect my family. But my whole plan was that I had to leave. Because I knew that there's a reason why they keep my voice down. There's a reason why they suppress. There's a reason why they do all sorts of things.
Yeah, and I think it would be good though. Like, there's a lot of people watching who would probably want to join us, part of the Untamed Nation, who would want to come and do that with us. So maybe one day we'll have to. And I would want to I would want all of us to go and do something like that. If we ever really needed to leave the country, we should all work together. Those of us who have the same values and who are willing to stand up for what's right, we should go and we should do that together. New country, whether we have to found one or join one that we are capable of influencing in a positive way, whichever it is, it needs to be done.
Yeah, we just got to make sure we have enough firepower.
Yeah, that's why you need to get your burn out. At the very least, but maybe bring someone a little more than that. But yeah.
So here's they're living it up large. Just so you know, they're living it up large. Here's Kamala leaving the bar. Let me put that up here. Here she's leaving the bar, getting in her bulletproof Secret Service protection, which she gets Secret Service protection for 6 months. If you didn't know that, they're entitled to 6 months of Secret Service protection. And I can show it to you if you'd like. It's called the Title I Former Vice President Protection Act. And former vice president, their spouses, and their children who are under 16 years of age for a period of not more than 6 months after the date of former vice president leaves office.
$25 bodyguards / Secret Service agents, by the way. 25 people to guard someone who there isn't a single person on earth who
Even
thinks they are
cares.
important enough.
Yeah.
And I don't say that to be crass. It's just simply the fact. And there isn't anyone who thinks, oh, if Kamala Harris is removed from the equation, then anything will change, because it wouldn't.
And if those of you are wondering what she's been doing in office, Matt, are you wondering what she's been doing? She did go speak. She sounded really, really, really smart this time. It's really weird. Said no one ever. Let's go ahead and play it.
Including congressional leaders like Cory Booker, Chris Van Hollen, Chris Murphy, Jasmine Crockett, Maxwell Frost, AOC, and Bernie Sanders.
And then she rambled on about elephants. You know, the elephant is the symbol for the Republican Party. You know that?
I did know that, yeah. It's better than the donkey, for sure.
I think she was drinking before this, but this is what she had to say about elephants.
She's always drunk, by the way.
Yeah.
In fact, please allow me, friends, to digress for a moment. Okay.
Oh my God.
It's kind of dark in here, but I'm asking for a show of hands. Who saw that video from a couple of weeks ago? The one of the elephants at the San Diego Zoo during the earthquake? Google it if you've not seen it. So that scene has been on my mind. Everybody's asking me what you've been thinking about these days. Well,
all right. It's been fun. You want to pray us out? This is we had a lot today. We learned about Kamala's elephant fetish, and David Portnoy talking about the fact that he's going to ruin people for holding up signs as F Jews.
It's third on our fresh list, by the way, after school buses and Venn diagrams.
It is?
Yeah.
Third?
Third.
All right.
Her husband doesn't even make the top 100.
I would believe that, actually. He's out hanging out with nannies.
He's too busy with the nannies.
That hurt. Do you want to pray us out today?
I do.
All right.
Dear Lord, as we continue to see so much evil in the world, as we continue to see people who are using positions to hurt others and to enrich themselves and to be greedy and be the opposite of you, be the opposite of coming closer to you, as our world becomes less godly, as more people go away from Christianity at times, help us to see that trend turn around. Help us to see humanity as a whole. Give us the strength to turn towards you and to do your will, to be one with you as much as we can, and to make earth a place that is worthy of being your creation. Amen.
Amen. All right, housekeeping. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more. Go over, give us a 5-star review. Before you leave Rumble, make sure you hit the share button and you hit the little thumbs up button on your way out. If there's something you want us to talk about, we will talk about it. We do have Juan O'Savin on. He'll be on later on this week. Is he on tomorrow, or when do we? I
think so. I don't know if we've had the scheduled date. Do we?
Okay, yeah. So he wants to come on. He wants to talk about the amicus brief, depending on who you are and what part of the country you're in, filed by Peter Tickton, who is President Trump's longest friend. Been friends for over 55 years, 65 years.
Yep.
Really good lawyer. Did I miss anything?
No, I think that covers it for the most part. At 4 p.m. Eastern time, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, man, I've been watching the show, and it's like so much better than all the other shows. All the other shows, I just don't feel like watching them anymore. Instead, I'm going to tune in every day at 4 p.m. Eastern time and hang out with Matt and Joe live.
Bring some friends.
Everything else sucks in comparison.
Yeah.
I know that's what you're thinking. So what are you waiting for? We're going to be here. We're not going anywhere. We're going to be here for the long haul. We're going to build an incredible community, an incredible show. We already have an incredible community. It's going to get so much bigger and better. And you know there's someone who's watching another show and they would like this show more. Think of a person. Of course they would. It's more fun. We have more. We're going to say the truth here. We don't have to be beholden to anyone. We don't care. And so come watch our show instead of any other show And we're going to be able to be the biggest force for good as a result of having a strong, robust, powerful community that continues to grow. So help us out, seriously. Send a link to someone and say, hey, this show is the real deal. This is a show that I think is going to be the biggest show on the internet soon. Gotta do it.
We'll see you soon.
See you soon.